console, so hot right now. Injury prevention, so hot right now. So the new cool thing is for people to talk about injury prevention and be like, oh, it's not real. There's no such thing as injury prevention. You can't prevent injuries. And I know that they're saying it to try to sound smart, which is fine. But the reality of it is that it's actually a stupid conversation. Oh, you should say injury reduction instead of injury prevention because you can't prevent injuries and blah, blah, blah. Actually, it's such a stupid conversation. I really don't know why we're having the conversation at all. The reality of the situation is that you actually can't even measure. You can't measure injury prevention because if it didn't occur, then it didn't occur. It's like Schrodinger's cat. The cat is still alive and dead at the same time until you open the box. This whole idea of like the slit lamp experiment. It's a particle and a wave at the same time until you measure it. So how do we measure the number of injuries that would have occurred if they didn't occur? Right? We can't do that. It's not possible. I can't tell you that, oh, there would have been 1,000 injuries, but we prevented 500 of them. You can't do that. Unless, I don't know, maybe you have some fucking magical crystal ball. And so the reality is that it's really a dead topic. It's silly. Like, oh, we don't prevent injuries, we just reduce them. Because injuries are not, you can't prevent. Yes, you can prevent an injury. There's lots of injuries that you can prevent. You want to prevent injuries? Let me give you an example real quick. You've seen CrossFitters doing their kipping pull-ups and then they fly off the handlebar, right? They're up there doing their swingy thing and they fall backwards and they land on a barbell. You want to know how to prevent that injury? Move the barbell away from the pull-up bar. Oh my God! Radical concept, I know. And for those of you who do CrossFit, I'm not even making fun of CrossFit. I'm just telling you, like, move your equipment apart. Like, move it away. In fact, if you turned the barbell just 90 degrees, you wouldn't land on the barbell. Radical concept. There are many injuries that could easily be prevented. Why would we deny that we prevent injuries? We prevent injuries all the time. Don't put your hand on that hot stove. That's preventing an injury. So, if, for instance, we do a whole bunch of hamstring work and an athlete gets pushed into a bad position and they don't suffer an injury because their hamstring was strong enough to hold the knee in position and it didn't twist, 15 degrees of rotation will tear your ACL, did we not just prevent an injury? This is a pedantic and silly argument. It's so dumb that people are fighting over the word choice of prevention. That's what you're really fighting. You're not fighting the injury prevention. You're fighting the word prevention because now you want to call it injury reduction. And this is just such a lame argument. The reality is that you can't measure things that didn't happen. I prevented an injury right now because in this world of infinite possibilities and these multiverses in the universe and all this stuff like that, in some universe without the infinite possibilities, I fell off of the seat that I'm sitting on here and hit my head off the floor. That Chad just died of a head injury. Every second Chad is dying in some of the multiverses. Like, the longer this video goes on, the more of the Chads and the multiverses have all died. Because there's an infinite number of possibilities. I mean, one of them just got hit by a fucking asteroid. In another multiverse, a killer beast came out of the fucking woodwork and, stung him to death. In one of the multiverses, an ex-girlfriend shows up and shoots him in the middle of the video. Why not? There's an infinite number of possibilities. I just prevented all of those just now because I'm still talking. The point that I'm making here is you can't measure things that didn't happen, so this discussion is really dumb and it's silly. Are we not preventing head injuries by doing neck training? We already know that the stronger your neck is, the less likely you are to suffer a concussion. Is that prevention? Oh, no, it's just reduction. Let me ask you something here. This is up to you how you feel about it. If I tell an athlete to squeeze your glutes or squeeze your butt, Does the word choice really matter if they're doing the right thing? If the cue works, does it matter? If I say keep your chest up and they correct their form, or I say push your hips through and they correct their form, does it matter which cue I used? No, because they corrected their form. So, in that same line of thinking, does it really matter if we use the word injury prevention? Like, oh, it's not the proper term for it. Whatever. Like, whatever. You know, you know what I meant. If I use the wrong term for something, you know what I meant. Does that matter? And I'm going on entirely too long. Like, this is almost 6 minutes long of me just telling you how dumb this is. The reality of the situation is that, can you prevent injuries? Well, in a literal sense, no, you can't, because you can't measure things that didn't happen. But in reality, we all know that being stronger makes you less likely to get injured. Can we prevent 100% of injuries? No. Shit. If a 400-pound lineman rolls over on the back of your leg, he's probably going to break your fibula at the very least. At the very least. It doesn't tear your ankle apart and blow your knee apart. You're going to suffer something. If you run into a wall at 30 miles an hour, well, I guess it'd be hockey for you to be skating that fast. If you crash into a wall at 30 miles an hour, it's going to fucking hurt. You're probably going to be bruised up. You're probably going to have some injury. But if your neck was strong, maybe you don't suffer a concussion. So maybe we prevented a concussion. But there's no way for you to prove that because we can't show cause and effect and measure things that didn't happen. So at the end of the day, it's just the dumbest discussion ever. And I think that people are saying it to try to sound smart and make other people sound stupid. And in the end, you actually just sound stupid. To anyone who does this for a living, you sound stupid saying that you can't prevent injuries because we all know, well, shit, look at me. Man, when I played hockey and I was this tiny little guy and I didn't even weigh 100 pounds, I got injured all the fucking time. I broke my wrist, I broke my hand, dislocated my shoulder, broke my collarbone, got my teeth knocked out, whatever it was, broke ribs. You put 60 pounds on that kid because he hits puberty finally. It's not because there's anything magical happened. I don't have a program to sell you. Let me tell you the secret program. I have a secret program. If you message me, DM me, I'll send you the secret program for just $399. In fact, if you act now, I'll send it to you for $398. How to gain 60 pounds of muscle. It's called puberty. So, over the course of 4 years in puberty, you put 60 pounds on. Oh, by the way, you're also going to get like 5 inches taller, 4 inches taller, 4 or 5 inches taller. So not only are you going to gain 60 pounds, but you're going to put on 4 to 5 inches of height. It's called puberty. Let me sell you that in a bottle. Suddenly I didn't get injured as often. How can that be? Because I'm a bigger player. So whenever I collide with a guy who's 185 and now I weigh 155, that's a big difference from when I weighed 110 and collided with a 185-pound guy. Bigger, stronger, you're less likely to get injured when you crash into that person who is significantly larger. And now as you close that gap, being 110 pounds versus being 155 pounds, colliding with the same 185-pound defenseman, much less likely to get injured. So did we not just prevent injuries? And, so it's a silly conversation. Which, whatever. We have a lot of silly conversations. I think I'm going to do another video on silly conversations. Stay tuned.